This is the Berman Method podcast featuring Dr. Jake Berman and physician assistant Jenni Berman. We are here to treat problems and not symptoms. Disclaimer, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and not to treat anyone or to give medical advice. If you are interested in any information that we are giving and would like to use this for yourself, we recommend that you contact your primary care physician or reach out to us and ask us questions about yourself specifically. Enjoy.
The Berman Method podcast, where we are focused on brand new intros to keep you guessing every single podcast so you never know what you're going to hear in the first 10 seconds.
I think they have a good idea of what they're going to hear of your voice doing something crazy.
You know what we should do is we should do a compilation of intros.
Just put them all together and listen to them.
One after another.
Just turn the volume down.
If anybody wants to hear us put a compilation of my intros together, email me, drberman@bermanpt.com, and I'll put my team on it.
Yes.
How hilarious would that be?
I think you would find it, get a kick out of it.
I think it would be hilarious.
I know you would.
I don't know that anybody else would think it.
That was exactly my point. You would get a kick out of it.
The Berman Method podcast, where we're focused on treating problems and not symptoms. Dun, dun, dun.
You are?
Dr. Jake Berman.
And I am Jenni Berman, physician assistant.
Jenni Bear Berman.
Yes, JBB.
JBB. We're David against Goliath. We're trying to spread as much knowledge, or at least a different thought process as possible, where the corporate medical system does not have your best interests in mind. At least 50% of the commercials that you see on TV every single night are pharmaceutical backed or funded. If that doesn't raise a red flag, I mean, just think about it. The pharmaceutical industry is funding at least 50% of the things that you're being sold every single night. I mean, we always talk about big pharma and how much money they have. It's crazy. Usually it's somewhere around 90% of the commercials are pharmaceutical backed in one way, shape, form, or another.
And then they all have 3 minutes of fine print. Have you noticed that?
Oh my gosh, I love it. It cracks me up every time where the sales component is 10 seconds, but the side effect component is 25 seconds.
On triple speed.
On triple speed.
And it's still longer than the actual sales purpose.
It's almost like car sales. Like when they have car sales on TV,
right,
or on the radio, usually on the radio. Come now for the biggest sale in the history of sales. And then the last 10 seconds, you can't even hear it.
Offer not good with. And that's everything. Everything except perfect credit. Yep, that's exactly what it sounds like. And that's all the side effects are on the pharmaceuticals too. I'm like, can you slow that down? Can we put the captions on real quick so I can actually understand what they're saying?
Yeah, so today I am beginning my week of detox.
Yeah,
which is very relevant for what we're going to talk about today, because last week was sugar overload. I like once a year to really test my system and just make sure it can handle it's almost like diabetes preparation.
Oh, that's great. If you just keep challenging it.
No, I'm not saying I'm preparing for diabetes. I'm trying to prepare to not get diabetes.
Oh, so you're showing your body what it would be like if you ate like that all the time to get diabetes, but then you're going to pull it back so your pancreas will chill out and work normal again.
Exactly.
Okay. So we're going to go on detox just for 1 week because then it's Labor Day.
I'm not eating cookies on Labor Day. I'm just not wearing white anymore.
Oh, okay. Got it.
What does that even come from? You're not supposed to wear white after Labor Day.
I don't know. Guess we need to look it up.
Google that.
I don't
GTS.
think I follow the rules anyways. I wear white shoes like year round.
I don't wear shoes year round.
This is true.
Okay, what are we talking about today? Seriously, it is kind of relevant to last week.
Well, we're still myth busting. So if you have been listening for the last couple of weeks, we've been doing a MythBuster series where we're busting common myths about physical and nutrition topics. Today, we are going to bust the fact that fat-free diets and sugar-free diets are healthy.
Fat-free diets and sugar-free diets are healthy, and specifically fat-free items and sugar-free items are healthy.
Correct. So when we are trying to lose weight, when we're trying to, lean out, have more muscle mass, burn fat, get rid of the flat tire in the abdominal area, when we're trying to just improve our overall meal plan or diet, commonly we will think, okay, I have to completely cut out fat and I have to cut out sugar. So I'm going to look for items in the grocery store that are fat-free and sugar-free, and I'm going to be doing a lot better. So rather than the regular potato chips, I'm going to go for the fat-free crackers. Instead of the regular cookies, I'm going to pick out a sugar-free Reese's cup. And these are going to be much better options for me that I can rely on. No good. So let's start with fat. Fat is actually important for our body. Our muscles need fat. Our brains need a lot of fat, actually. A lot of our vital organs need fat. Our metabolism needs fat. And so if we are choosing the items that are completely fat-free, we're not providing the right vitamins and nutrients to these organs, including our brain. We need the vitamin D. We need the calcium. We need these nutrients that are coming from fat-containing items. Now, of course, there's a difference between saturated fat, which is a bad fat, and unsaturated fat, which is a healthy fat. So when we are consuming fats in our diet, as we should, we really should be focusing more on foods higher in unsaturated fats. Unsaturated fats is really where we should be targeting, and lower in saturated fats. We don't want to completely avoid fats in general. We don't want to be on a fat-free diet because it depletes our energy. It depletes the nutrients to our brain. So rather than looking for fat-free items, we need to be looking at the labels and checking, okay, how much fat is in this item and what kind of fat is it? Is it unsaturated fat, which is a healthy fat?
Okay. So just to clarify, we need healthy fat to be optimal, for our bodies to work optimally. So when we think that because we have the spare tire, not the flat tire around our abdomen, that if we get rid of the fat, that will help get rid of the spare tire.
That's what a lot of people think, and that's absolutely not true. Now, we're going to talk more about sugar, but a lot of times the spare tire or the muffin top or the fat in the abdominal area in our hips, our love handles, a lot of times this is actually coming from stored sugar, and we're going to talk more about sugar, but stored carbohydrates, sugar, which turns to sugar within our body that our body then stores as fat. So a lot of time the actual adipose tissue or fat tissue that we're storing is coming from sugar, not from fat necessarily from the meal plan.
Okay, so if I go sugar-free and I buy everything that says sugar-free, then that should solve that problem.
No. And that's the second myth of the day, is that sugar-free items are not your better option compared to sugar items. There's really no benefit to utilizing the sugar-free. In fact, a lot of times these sugar-free items that you're going for, so the sugar-free Reese's cups or the sugar-free chocolate bar.
Sugar-free Mountain Dew.
The sugar-free Mountain Dew, the sugar-free Diet Pepsi.
Sugar-free donut.
All of these things actually contain, or majority of them, I shouldn't say all, but majority contain a type of sugar alcohol or artificial sugar or an artificial sweetener like xylitol, maltitol, sucralose. These are all sugar alcohols that are theoretically less calories than regular sugar. However, our body is there's still negative effects to sugar alcohols, meaning some people still, their body metabolizes sugar alcohols just like regular sugar. So it still spikes their insulin or tells their body that their blood sugar levels are still higher, even though theoretically it's not supposed to spike your blood sugar. There's more research coming out about the connection between sugar alcohols and artificial sweeteners to cardiovascular disease and cancers. So again, it's not necessarily that these sugar-free items that you're replacing in your meal plan are the healthier options.
So this is just, I'm gonna run with this. Let's just stay high level. I know that it's probably not 100% of the time. Can we say, generally speaking, that a sugar-free soda has fake sugar in it?
Yes.
Because
in
it's not
layman's terms.
Yeah,
yes.
It's not real sugar. It's synthetic sugar.
Well, most of them have aspartame in them, which,
is aspartame real?
Is a fake artificial sweetener.
It's an artificial sweetener, which means it was made in a laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're saying that something that was made in a laboratory can cause cancer?
Well, and actually there's even more research out lately about aspartame and the connection between aspartame and dementia, Alzheimer's.
So wait a minute. This thing that was synthesized up in a laboratory, like a pharmaceutical, can cause cancer and dementia?
Yeah, yes. And it's truly sad because, it's marketed so well of, oh, it tastes so good, it's sugar-free, it's calorie-free, drink me instead of drinking regular soda, which we all know has a ton of sugar in it, but your body is still acting. Sugar is inflammatory. Sugar can cause dementia. Sugar obviously can cause weight gain and diabetes and kidney and liver function issues. It's inflammatory and can cause joint issues, arthritis, irritable bowel syndrome. Sugar is bad. We all know that. It's very toxic, but aspartame, what people aren't telling you, is just as toxic, especially to the brain.
I just want to run with this so hard right now. I think one of the easiest things to summarize everything that you just said about sugar is that, again, let's stay high level just for a second. If you're consuming something that is traditionally a guilty pleasure, meaning a soda, a candy bar, a cookie, you're consuming it because it's sugar-free, and it still tastes good, is it safe to say that it's probably not good for you? Because the reason why it tastes good is there's something fake in there making it taste good.
True.
Okay.
And that's even challenging, coming away from soda with protein powders. A lot of protein powders will have things like the sucralose or, it may be the very last ingredient. So there's very minimal of the sucralose, but a lot of them still have it in there. And I admit, we carry protein powders in our office that do have sucralose in them because it is very challenging, one, to find a protein powder without it, but two, to find a protein powder without it that is actually palatable, that you're going to actually consume and drink. So, in a perfect world, we should be sticking to lean proteins and vegetables. That's what kind of foods were available hundreds of years ago, right? The foods that we either killed or grew were our best, the only options back then, but now are still our best options. That's challenging. It's hard to live a lifestyle of where you are only consuming animal-based or non-animal-based, but plant-based proteins and vegetables and getting the adequate amount of protein in your diet, especially if you're strength training. So me and you, utilize protein powder. We carry protein powder in our office. And the downside to them is some of them have sucralose as the very last ingredient. Some of the ones, meaning I should say with that, why that's important as far as the very last. So when you're looking at a label, the ingredients are listed beginning to end from the most to the least amount within the product. So the first ingredient in the product is what majority of the product is made of. The last ingredient is the smallest amount in the product. Did that make sense?
Yeah, smallest percentage
in the product. So with sucralose being the very last ingredient, there's minimal in a serving, but it's still there. And so that's something you have to be aware of. If I'm having protein powder once a day or, less, I'm still getting that sucralose, that amount. So I really need to be mindful of what else I'm consuming in the day. If you're having protein powder and a protein bar within a day, there's a good chance you're getting a lot of sugar alcohols, which is not optimal for your body by any means.
Yeah, you've actually yelled at me multiple times about this, where it was 2 or 3 years ago where I spent a week or maybe 2 weeks out in Missouri hunting, and you asked me what I was eating, and I was like, protein bars, because I'd be in the tree stand literally from an hour before the sun came up till the sun went down. So I'm in the tree the whole entire day. And she's like, are you making sandwiches or what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not making sandwiches.
Yeah, you would have a protein drink before you left for the tree.
Yeah.
And then you would eat 3 protein bars at least in the tree stand.
At least 3 protein bars. And she goes, what are you doing? I'm like, what are you talking about? They're protein bars. She goes, the sugar alcohol. And I'm like, what about it?
Well, what was my next question? How are your bowels?
Yeah.
Like, are your bowels functioning? Because that's the other thing is sugar alcohols can make people really gassy, but also constipated. And so they're like, I'm not moving my bowels at all. Well, first of all, you're dehydrated. Secondly, you're not moving enough. But third, like the amount of sugar alcohol that you're consuming. So we can't rely on these products to be able to get our protein. We still need to make sure that we're getting the lean proteins, the vegetables in our diet. However, I would rather have a patient have a protein drink or a protein bar for breakfast than going through the McDonald's drive-thru and getting an Egg McMuffin and a burrito, So there's definitely the pros and cons to these protein alternatives. It's just not something that we want to rely on consistently every meal of every day.
Okay, so let me say something, and you're obviously going to correct me if I'm wrong. I think a good test to see if you are quote unquote addicted to sugar or reliant on the quote unquote taste of sugar products is if you were to cook a piece of chicken and some veggies at home without excessive butters or really butters. Mm-hmm. And eat that and go, man, this is delicious? Or would you eat it and go, man, where's the salt at? This is just so bland. In my opinion, what that's saying is that you're so used to these flavorful things that's synthetic and added that when you truly eat something that is clean, your palate just can't handle it. And that's why you're constantly thinking, okay, I made it through this healthy piece of chicken and veggies. Now let's eat some dessert afterwards to solve a craving. Is that safe to say?
It can be. A lot of it is mental as far as the cravings go. Or the second thing would be that if you're craving sugar specifically after a meal, you're not getting enough protein or water throughout your day. And so that's the biggest thing. But the other side of it is it's a habit. It's a habit to want that sugar. It's a habit to taste that sugar or to taste the fattier, unhealthy fats, the saturated fats. A lot of it is habit.
It absolutely is a habit. And I think we've talked about this a couple of times in the past where I used to eat cereal every single night before bed. That was like my dessert. So we eat dinner around 6:30, and then around 8:15, I'd have a bowl of cereal. And it was healthy cereal, not Frosted Flakes or anything like that. It was granola cereal.
Pro granola.
Pro granola. So it was healthy cereal. It wasn't crappy cereal. And then it got to a point to where I was getting fluffy and I'm like, oh, these are extra calories. I'm like, okay, that's it. Cold turkey. I'm not eating cereal anymore. That was really hard for me because every single night it was a habit. It's like, man, I'm really hungry right now. Give me some cereal. So now I only eat cereal. Most of the time I only eat cereal on Sunday nights and Monday nights. And then it's amazing how Tuesday night I'll be sitting on the couch and 8:15 will roll around and I'm, for some reason, starving. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really should have had some cereal. And then 10 minutes later, it's gone.
Right.
Like completely gone.
Right.
That's just my brain messing with me.
Correct. And that's how majority of the time it is. Now, yes, there's a metabolic component. Like I've already said, if you're not consuming enough protein or drinking enough water throughout the day, your cravings are going to be there. But like I said, majority of the time it is our brain playing games with us. So coming back to what we were busting today is that fat-free diets and sugar-free diets, or fat-free items and sugar-free items, are really the items we should be looking at in the grocery store. And it's not true. We should be consuming a low sugar meal plan. However, it should not be with sugar-free items. We need to be focusing on low sugar by consuming more of our lean proteins and our vegetables, our complex vegetables, as opposed to starchy vegetables. And we should be getting our carbohydrate servings through some of the moderate carbohydrates when it comes to glycemic index, meaning things like sweet potatoes, quinoa, brown rice. I suppose brown rice is kind of one of my lower ones, but sweet potato, quinoa, zucchini, squash, those are going to be a little bit more of your starchier type of vegetables. So we should be getting carbohydrates through those, maybe some oats, maybe some lentils, but really focused on, in general, lean proteins, vegetables. Vegetables is where a lot of our carbohydrates should be coming from. And then we still want healthy fats in our diet. We want avocado and olive oil and nuts and seeds if our GI system can tolerate it. We just want to be avoiding the saturated fat. So when you're looking at labels, the label will tell you the total fat and then will tell you the amount of saturated fat. If the total fat is 14 grams, okay, that's actually a lot of fat for an item. But if it says saturated fat 2 grams, then that means the other 12 grams are from unsaturated fats, which are generally healthier fats. So it may be an item that's actually quality for you and good for your brain power and for your muscle recovery. So coming back is, at the end of the day, we need our macronutrients, meaning our proteins, our carbs, and our fats balanced for our goals. The amount of protein, the amount of fat, the amount of carbs, we need all three. We can't go on a fat-free diet. We can't go on a completely carb-free diet. Our body needs these things. We just have to know where to get those healthy items from.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Do you want to wrap things up there?
Yeah.
So I think one of the layman's things that I'm going to try to leave you with, and we'll see if Jenny yells at me or not. If it tastes good, it most likely is not good for you.
Generally speaking,
that's
yes.
a very general thing. If you get it
prepackaged items.
If you get it prepackaged, that's what I meant to say. If you buy a prepackaged item that tastes good, it's generally not healthy for you. Because there's a reason why it tastes good. You have to understand that they are really good at hiding the name of sugar. Really good. I think we should Google it and see how many different synonyms they've come up with on how to name sugar in the ingredient level or the ingredient list.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the artificial or alternative sugars. I think there's 16 of them.
16 variations of it.
I need to fact check that, but I think that's about right.
So generally speaking, a prepackaged item that tastes good is not healthy for you.
That doesn't mean that eating healthy doesn't taste good, because it sure does. I mean, look at all the things that we eat on a nightly basis that we cook from proteins and veggies.
And that's
always very good.
Yeah, that's more of a habitual thing, meaning that when you're used to eating prepackaged items, and then the first thing you do is you eat a healthy item, you generally say this tastes horrible. Mm-hmm. And then a week later, you're like, it's not so bad. Then a month later, you're like, man, this is actually pretty good. The thing is, you got to keep doing it. You can't just go back and forth. You just got to understand what you're doing.
Right.
Good.
Understand the why.
Yeah. And don't forget, we've got a couple of spots left for seminars this fall and this coming spring. So if you want us to come give a talk to your country club or your group, if you got a group of ladies or a group of golfers, whatever you got a group of, Jake or Jenny will come and talk to you guys, a complimentary seminar. Make sure you reach out now so we can get those things booked. And subscribe this thing, share this with somebody that you know goes to the grocery store and shops in the middle aisles and thinks that they're eating healthy, because the middle aisles is just full of prepackaged stuff.
That's right.
Right?
Yep. Shop the perimeter.
All right. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now. Thank you for subscribing on your social media and podcast platforms to the Berman Method. Dr. Jake Berman with Berman Physical Therapy and Jenni Berman, Physician Assistant with Berman Health and Wellness. You can find more information on our website, www.bermanpt.com for physical therapy, bermanpt.com/wellness for the health and wellness. You can also find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and on your podcast platform. So be sure to follow us, like us, subscribe to us. And if you would like any further information, definitely visit our website and reach out to us. You may also find our free reports on the websites as well, where you can download this free information for yourself. Have a great day.